Hello, and welcome back to Landermause. Last time we went over the main animals who will be seeding this moon. In today's episode, we will discuss how these animals will interact in this new environment, with so many niches to take. While we can get the seas all covered in this episode, I plan to only go over the center continent for the land animals. Don't worry though, we will go over the animals that evolve on the islands on a later episode. To start us off, we will go over the minke whale's only descendant during this period. Due to the lack of large marine predators and competition, these whales were left to thrive uncontested. All these factors together created the Moby whale or Walwegro, very similar to their ancestors. Their main difference is their large size. Even being able to outgrow blue whales on Earth with the lower gravity. They became very successful, soon having members in every part of the sea. Now, while the sea was populated by giant whales, a much more interesting story was happening underneath them. A new fish I added to give the narwhals and dolphins another food source other than invertebrates. The croaker fish is a small scavenger eating usually scraps and smaller animals around it. Just like its name states, these fish can produce a croaking sound that makes typically used to attract females. One of their earliest descendants that would arise was the croaker shark, or kenhai, located in the open sea, safe from narwhals and river dolphins. Croaker fish were allowed to take a niche of an apex predator, looking quite similar to sharks on Earth. The kenhai spends their days snacking on the many invertebrates around them along with their much smaller cousins. Another predator that evolved during this period was the Titan pistol shrimp. As the name implies, it is a descendant of pistol shrimps. These large shrimp walk across the seafloor searching for prey using their strong antennae to make up for their weak eyesight. Just like their ancestors, when they find prey, they will create a bubble with their large snapping claw to knock out any prey. When threatened by a larger predator, these shrimp use their newly developed digging to hide away. In order to dig away quickly, these shrimp are known to use their large claw to make vibrations that warn other shrimp of nearby predators. That's all for the open sea for now, so let's move on to another part of the ocean, a much colder area where the narwhals roam. Similar to the other animals on Landermause, this new environment allowed them to take up new niches. In their case, they became the top predators of the colder waters. The skewer whale or spywhale was a large descendant of narwhals who took the niche of apex predators in their ecosystem. By evolving much bigger and stronger tusks, they hunted similar to swordfish on Earth, using their long tusks to stab their prey. While no other predators could threaten them, there was still one issue. They'd always have other skewer whales. Male skewer whales could often be seen fighting for almost anything. Could be territory, or mating rights, or even just plain old food. A close relative of the skewer whale, the spinner, was a smaller narwhal who, instead of developing larger tusks, used their heads to hunt. While their tusks were still a large part of hunting their prey, spinner whales relied more on their echolocation to find their meals, gaining a larger melon to improve their clicks. This method was very effective, allowing these whales to find even more food than their larger cousins. This, however, also led to the much larger skewer whale often bullying the much smaller spinner whale out of their meals, taking it for themselves. Despite this, the spinner whale still has a very bright future ahead of them with their unique hunting style. While narwhals dominate the colder parts of the sea, that doesn't stop the croaker fish from moving there and adapting. The grounded croaker is an odd descendant of the croaker fish, fully adapting to the bottom feeder niche in these colder waters. Their fins have become much stronger to allow them to walk across the seafloor. They eat anything that fits into their mouth, often eating the remains of much larger animals. They are a common food source for the many narwhals around them. Not to worry, these croakers can still swim away if needed. While they are native to colder climates, grounded croaker species can be found far beyond that, ranging far across the open sea. I know I've spent a while in the water, but I promise we will get to the bats soon, just wait. Starting with the river dolphins, these cetaceans have dominated the rivers of landermause, quite quickly taking on new niches similar to the narwhals. One example of this was the crocodile. These dolphins evolved a niche similar to crocodiles on Earth, while they eat the invertebrates and fish of their environment. Their main source of food comes from the land. Waiting close by, the crocodile sits ready to lunge at any unsuspecting bat that may pass by to take a drink. Their fins have even become slightly stronger just to help them crawl back into the water after they catch their meal. While bats may be the crocodile's main source of food, other animals can just as easily fall prey to them, like the brown river shrimp, a more social descendant of freshwater shrimp. These animals have taken the niche small fish do, swimming across the many rivers of landermause. The brown river shrimp moves in schools for safety, eating whatever they can find. While nearly identical to their ancestors, one difference is how their back pair of walking legs have become more fin-like. To help these shrimp swim, they are a very important part of this new environment, being one of the main reasons it even works. While they are from the river, some species have even adapted to saltwater and have ventured off to the open sea, building those environments as well. The humble croaker fish. While they do live in saltwater similar to salmon, they spend their youth in rivers before venturing out to the open sea. But what if some of them stayed behind, fully adapting to their less salty homes with dolphins around them? You would get the river croaker. Having taken the niche of bottom feeders completely, they search the riverbed for any invertebrates they may find. While their lives are quite peaceful, once mating season comes around, the constant croaking of males makes it easy for dolphins to find them. Only the fastest and loudest males are able to mate and survive another day. Now that we have the seas all done with, it's time for the land. So let's not waste any time and meet our first bat for today. The flying fox has found peace in this new world, even being isolated from the other base species. The daytime is uncontested. Left solely for the flying foxes, the amount of food and security they have has allowed them to lose their flight quite quickly compared to their cousins. Grounded foxes have taken full advantage of the daytime's peaceful state, losing their ability to fly in favor of their much bigger size. They have become grazers, spending their days peacefully eating the grasses and mangoes around them. They can often be seen in small groups grazing together during the daytime. These animals' only predators are the crocodile as adults. A close relative of the grounded fox, the slim fox or kirks, has become slightly smaller and faster in order to more quickly get food. This newfound speed has also allowed them to escape crocodiles while drinking. While slightly more successful than their cousins, they can still peacefully coexist without outcompeting each other. With all the resources around, competition is still quite low in the day. While low competition may be true for bats, for the invertebrates around them, couldn't be less true. Fighting to be to predator. The centipede is a 12 to 15-inch long descendant of centipedes constantly on the move. Their size is due to the higher oxygen levels of this era, along with the abundance in resources. This has worked greatly for them, as this new size allows them to even hunt young bats if given the chance. The rhearchy, or giant black snail, is a large snail that lives in the hotter areas of landermause. Their large size has been obtained from a combination of the hot environment, their thick skin which allows them to keep in more moisture, and the relative peace of this era. They still must be wary, however, as giant invertebrates such as the centipede are lurking nearby. But these snails aren't as defenseless as you might think, since like their ancestors, they are carnivorous snails. The bat-eating dragonfly is a 2 feet long predator that quickly moves through the air looking for its next meal. While its diet is mostly smaller insects, they are known to attack much larger bats such as flying foxes for their meals. While this is usually a younger bat, these dragonflies still have a taste for the many foxes around them, even if they're more risky than the usual insects they hunt. That's about everything for the daytime, so let's move into the night where all the other bats are active. Starting with the little brown bat, there wasn't much change they went through in this early period since they were already well equipped for their role. This doesn't mean they wouldn't go through some change instead of becoming bigger like most other animals on landermause. The dwarf brown bats became even smaller, specializing for even smaller insects to avoid competition. This small size also allows them to better navigate their dense jungle homes, giving them a much easier time when it comes to avoiding predators. We're not quite done with the brown bats just yet, as there is one more descendant we should go over. With no predators threatening them, the giant brown bat evolved, losing their flight. They would take the niche small reptiles do on Earth, eating any insects they could find on the ground. Don't let the word giant fool you, that's only compared to their relatives. In reality, they're only about the size of a small lizard. That's all we got for brown bats today, so let's move on to the other 3 bats we have for today. Starting with the white bats, these guys have begun improving their social skills in order to survive against the new predators evolving alongside them. One example of this is the geltamouse. In response to predators such as Draculas, they have become more social, improving the leaf tents of their ancestors. They stay in the canopies and trees above, communicating with their stronger echolocation. Their screams can be heard warning their group of predators or marking potential food sources for the group. Similar to the brown bats from before, the white bats also became flightless due to the peace of this time period, specializing to eat the plants on the ground. The white molebat spends its time foraging for plants. Quite social, they make simple leaf tents on the ground with their families. They are different from their relatives in how these leaf tents usually cover a system of tunnels these bats have dug out to keep themselves safe from predators. Another herbivore is the hammerhead bat. Quite an odd animal even among the other bat species. Their future is bright in this new world. Their descendants lost flight, just like many other bats on landermause. However, theirs was very different compared to the usual. The mango hopper became too heavy to fly, but stayed in the trees near their food. They climbed very similar to sloths on Earth, hanging down from the branches. While one of the largest bats at the moment, they're not entirely safe as Draculas fly nearby waiting to try and knock the mango hoppers out of the trees. Now for our final bat, the humble vampire. You might have heard some of their descendant names foreshadowed in earlier animals. So now, it's time I introduce them. With a lack of predators on landermause, the vampire bats were more than happy to take that niche, becoming much larger to hunt hammerhead bats, and fast enough to chase down the smaller ones. The Dracula soars through the night sky, hunting for anything that can fit in its mouth. They are quite aggressive, and at this point in time can be considered the land's only apex predator, since most giant insects pose no threat to these giants. Their descendants will live on long after the Dracula has come and gone. We're not done with these vampires just yet, as they took to every available predator niche they could, being some of the last bats to do so. The grounded vampire soon lost their ability to fly in order to better hunt the other flightless bats, while usually very slow, only being able to hop. Once they see their prey, they have the ability to lunge very quickly to their prey, grabbing hold of them as they bite at the necks to quickly kill them. Phew, well, that was a lot. Pretty long for a second episode, but we got it all done. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I did. I apologize here for any mistakes I may have made during this episode. I just wanted to get it out after delaying it. But either way, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I will see you all next time when we continue exploring this early first era of landermause. If you want to see some of these animals early, or just want to submit fan art, a Discord link is always in the comments. But goodbye for now. I'll see you all next time.